Good evening and welcome back to Sctv, Simpson College's first student-run newscast. As always, I'm Liv Allen.
And I'm Ethan Humboldt, filling in for the great Jake Bren today. It's great to be with you.
It's great to be with you as well. In what's seemingly becoming a weekly segment of ours, the crisis management team issued another statement regarding COVID-19 on campus.
The update today pertains to isolation and quarantine protocols changing for Simpson students with an uptick in cases from the Omicron variant.
Student reactions varied heavily on this topic. Caleb Geer has the story.
Despite a recent rise in COVID cases here on Simpson College campus, the crisis management team has decided to drop any requirements for isolation after close contact with COVID. The Omicron variant has reportedly made it too hard to uphold these standards of isolation. And after this update, I decided to go see what Simpson College campus has to say.
This school is a very situationally based institution. Simpson doesn't do anything unless something's already happened. And I fully believe that until a student or a faculty member passes away from COVID, we're not going to do anything to take it any more seriously than the rest of the world, especially Warden County.
I honestly feel safer, especially with the first semester kind of having a lot of positive cases, because that kind of like opens up wiggle room for the next 3 months at least, because if everyone tests positive in the first week, you're going to be more safe because they'll have a natural defense against it.
I don't think anyone should be forced to do anything that they don't see as fit. I feel like they should be persuaded by their CAs or by the school itself, but in the end, should be up to the single individual. I mean, isn't that what college is all about, individualities?
Like, we have more cases this year than this semester than we've had all year, like compared to last year, which is, in my opinion, embarrassing. Like, even though it's an easier, it's more easily transmittable, it's still killing people. You know what I mean?
I think, like, based on the email that they sent out, they didn't see much of a difference with quarantining and isolation. So I feel like just with how widespread it is, if you're going to get it, it's not really going to be based on whether or not these people are quarantined, because it's able to just kind of spread before people even have symptoms so often.
I'm a pessimist, and I truly think that the student body is going to do whatever the student body wants. So I think numbers are going to skyrocket regardless, personally.
By the time staff could get information about contact tracing and all of that out of the way and sent to the individual, they only had 1 to 2 days left in their quarantine or isolation period, which in turn not only causes problems for the staffing, but also for like cleaning. So if you're in a room for a day, staff has to come in and clean that room. So essentially it's 1 day isolating or quarantine, in most cases, for 1 day of cleaning.
I guess I feel like it doesn't really change anything for me. I guess I'm fully vaccinated, I got my booster, so I'm not really that concerned about me.
We did not pay attention to DEI until we had a hate crime happen. We're not going to take COVID seriously unless a student dies from COVID. And I fully believe that, because I was here as a freshman. We had a student lose their life to suicide my freshman and my senior year. We never talked about mental health unless a student on this campus has committed suicide.
And I feel like if people, if you are worried, then you can take the quarantine and it's okay. That's up to you. I totally respect your decision to do that or to not do that.
To compare a smaller pool like Simpson to the CDC and what the CDC is saying for the entire country is a little incompetent, in my personal opinion. I think completely taking away isolation is just, I don't know how to say this in a respectful way. It's a big you to the students. I don't really know how to say that in a respectful way.
But at the end of the day, we're going to follow what other schools in the ARC are doing, and obviously if not every school in the ARC is requiring non-vaccinated students to do something, we'll probably follow.
For Sctv, this is Caleb Geer.
The men's and women's track and field teams are under new leadership this year, with the head coach Aaron Fuller taking the helm.
With the season now underway, our own Jake Brent has the story on how the teams plan to climb up the ARC.
The story of the Simpson track and field team in 2022 is breaking records, building for the future, and team chemistry.
We are probably the closest family there is on campus.
My freshman year, we came in, it was more like a business. We'd come to practice. We wouldn't do anything else than that besides practice. And then now we do things outside of track that's really made it more of a family.
For Kirsten, she's one of the throwers on the team. She had never done anything in track before. She had never touched any of the throwing objects. She'd never run, nothing. And now she's one of the throwers on our team. So she got there just from seeing us be together. She really enjoyed the culture. She came to one of our get-togethers, and she just absolutely fell in love with us.
In 2021, the men finished 6th in the ARC and the women placed 8th, respectively. So far this season, both teams have competed in 4 indoor meets, and James Murray and Spencer Moon have already broken school records.
You know, I think our distance runners are probably a huge strength, and Coach Monk being here, 10, 11 years now, he's really built that program up.
Head coach Aaron Fuller is in his first season as head skip for the team. So far, he's envisioning taking an established program that was built by Dave Cleveland for 16 years to the next level.
My goal is to get us up to the spot where we're competing with some of the top teams in the conference, and that's not going to be an easy task to do. There's going to be a lot of work that goes into that, but that's something I feel like we have the bricks in place to build on.
Building the program up isn't without its challenges.
Going on to the next few years, we're really going to work towards just building a bigger program, because numbers is something you need to have to really be competitive.
The team chemistry I mentioned earlier, that includes the coaching staff. The team has already built a close bond with Coach Fuller in just one semester.
Coach Fuller is a very understanding kind of guy. He knows that we're students, and he knows that we're all trying to figure out what it is to be an adult kind of in this world.
He's a big family man. His wife and kids come to practice all the time, and we love seeing them at practice, and that's really why we have that family aspect.
Part of being a family is poking fun at one another.
But he's never on time to practice. I don't think there's been a single practice that he comes in on time for. I'll show up early for high jump, and he'll just send a message in the group chat and be like, just start warming up without me. I'll be down there soon. And then he comes like 15 minutes, 20 minutes later, and we're like, well, we've done the warm up and the practice, and now we're basically done. So
He thinks he's a shooter. He cannot shoot a basketball, but that's okay because he makes every 1 out of 100. So
Both teams travel to Maryville, Missouri to race in the Bearcat Open on Friday and Saturday. Jake Brent, Sctv.
There's not much that gains you more respect around campus than being the holder of a special t-shirt.
That's right. The shirts act as the token of being crowned an intramural champion. And basketball seems to be drawing quite a bit of attention from the student body.
With intramural basketball games reaching a reported attendance of nearly 40, it was worth checking out. Ethan has more from the hardwood.
Intramural basketball has been sweeping through Hopper Gym and Coles Fieldhouse the last few weeks. Our first game for you Sunday night, AGNJ in white versus the Warriors in black. After an intense first half of basketball, it's AGNJ with the 10-7 lead, but it's the Warriors halftime shoot-around that dominates our first half coverage. For those of you who want to know at home, the Warriors shot 2 of 20 during their halftime shoot-around, and yes, I will keep making fun of them as we continue going through this. Back to the game. AGNJ's long-range shooting was on display all game long, led by sophomore Cole Damman. Brendan Godbout on the other end collects his own miss for the putback 2. After shaking off the tough halftime display from earlier, Jay Jensen knocks down the tray. That jumper looks real nice. And this drive into the lane here from the Warriors shows they're not going to back down. They're right in this game. And another lay-in. Very physical game from both sides throughout, with a trip to the semifinals playing the 1-seeded Tropics and Hopper in a couple nights on the line. They both wanted it bad. Desmond Alexander pulls up for the 3 here. And that gets the bench going. It was punch and counterpunch all second half long. Neither team really gained a clear advantage. And the game really took a turn here. A big possession coming down the lane. There's Berkey. He finds his man, driving right into the lane, and that leads it all knotted up into AGNJ's final possession. The buzzer beater three for the win. Cole Damman.
I played basketball in high school. It's similar to that. A lot of people have been coming to these games, so that kind of adds to the atmosphere and competitiveness of intramural.
Oh yeah, like before the game, like we were hearing, oh yeah, like y'all suck and stuff, and we had the lead. But I mean, again, it just sucks to lose on like a game-winning shot like that. So, I'm just heartbroken.
Anything can happen at any time. We beat that same team just last Thursday by 20, and it was a 2 or a 3-point game. So, and it ended on a buzzer beater. So that's just what makes it probably one of the most fun to come and watch.
After the big win Sunday night, AGNJ would head back to Hopper Gym on Tuesday to take on the 1-seeded Tropics. And yes, that is your very own Jake Brend playing for the Tropics in this one. And he would put on quite the clinic in this game. The early game was dominated by the red-hot AGNJ squad. They would lead 9-2 partway through the first half, largely in part to the long-range game, as you see put on display here. With these couple of jumpers, they really were putting on a clinic from long range early. 9-2 as you see there. Tempo was high on this fast break drive to Zach Steenhook, who's able to put that one in. In this one, after the pickpocket, Trent Pelzer spots up from 3 and drains it. Looking good right there. It won't be the last time you see him. And no, you're not seeing double, folks. Caleb Vasquez gets his own pickpocket, drives down to the other lane for the 2. Oh my, you know who that man is. Jake Brend. And he's playing the air guitar, folks. He's feeling himself. We love to see it. At halftime, it would be Tropics 21, AGNJ 16. Took a lot out of Jake there. Aaron Price getting the second half started with the early bucket. Attendance appears to have dropped these last couple games, but we promise there were nearly 30 people at games just a couple weeks ago. A great spot-up jumper here from Brady Berkey gives his team the lead in the winding minutes. And a layup there will give him a little bit extra padding. But Luke Becker responds with the mid-ranger of his own, and the game would end up being squared at even. Oh no, a big stop there from AGNJ sends this to overtime in Hopper Gym. The cold-blooded dagger from Aaron Price evens out our game after an AGNJ bucket earlier, and with 17 left, Aaron Price gets the big 2-pointer. And much to the dismay of AGNJ, this last-second heave, no good, and the Tropics are headed to the championship.
It feels good. We made it there last year, got second place. That's kind of a heartbreaker, so it's nice to be back.
My number one motivation for being here is Luke Becker. That man is just so good at basketball. I love watching him play.
We've got 7 guys on the team. All 6 of them played high school varsity basketball. I didn't play any form of high school basketball, so it doesn't really feel like I belong.
I myself didn't play very well, so I just had to let my teammates trust in them and let them take over.
These guys get after it. There's some fights occasionally. I wouldn't want to be out there getting in brawls, but these dudes are tough.
I don't like creating for myself, I like creating for teammates, but if the 3's there, you got to take it.
For SCTV, this is Ethan Humble. Very impressive win for the Tropics. We'll be back next week with results from the championship game.
Moving now to varsity athletics, our highlights for the week take us over to the YMCA pool, where the Simpson men and women swimming and diving teams competed against Co on Saturday.
In the final home meet of their campaign, swimming and diving left it all in the pool. Kate Manette led the women with 2 individual first-place finishes on the day in both the 50 and 100 freestyle races. She also anchored the 200 freestyle relay that took first by nearly 20 seconds. Bree Hinson took a second off her career best in the 500 freestyle, en route to winning the event. On the men's side, Jay Steeperly swam the 100 breaststroke in just under a minute and 10 seconds to place first, and Nathan Parkins set a new personal best in the 100 freestyle with a time of just over a minute. The Cohawks prevailed in both meets, however, by scores of 97-79 for the women and 118-27 for the men.
In other sports, men's wrestling traveled to Cedar Rapids last Saturday and faced a couple of tough opponents in Coe and Luther. The Matmen lost both meets by lopsided scores.
The number 5/6 ranked women's basketball squad keeps on rolling. They defeated Wartburg in last Saturday's game after a clutch three-pointer from Reagan Freeland sent the game to overtime. The women also took care of business in Decorah Monday, beating Luther by a score of 85-49.
Men's basketball, however, has hit a bit of a skid lately. The team fell to Wartburg Saturday and Luther on Monday as they continue going through their conference schedule. That's going to be all for us this week.
As always, thank you to Professor Siebert, Professor Carpinelli, and Professor Steffen for making this newscast possible.
We will be back next week, but until then, you stay classy, Simpson.